Hi there. My name is Kara Cardell, and I am one of the co-founders of I See a Movement, along with Eric Gallagher and Fred Schellebarger. And I wanted to take today's post to really share more about the vision of I See a Movement and what is it. We have more information on our About page, and we also have season 1 of our podcast where we really dive into this question. But for those that may not know or may not have seen that, what is I See a Movement? I See a Movement really began because the three of us had this shared passion, this shared vision. And it wasn't just a desire to bring God and His love to the world. It wasn't just a desire to bring ministry tips and resources. It was really this love for walking alongside people in their faith journeys. And this was the ministry background that all three of us came from. And we intentionally created ministries so that we could walk with people and grow in relationship and grow in friendship. And this is at the heart of everything that we do and I See a Movement. It's really bringing that idea of walking alongside someone, just like Jesus, right? Jesus walked alongside the apostles and invited the apostles into His own life, into His ministry. It's taking that idea of walking alongside someone and trying to bring it to an online resource. I remember when we were sharing ideas and names for this ministry, and Eric later shared after we had decided, he's like, well, when I See a Movement was first shared, he was like, I thought that was a dumb name. And I think it was really in sharing the vision of what's behind I See a Movement, like what's the movement, that he really grew to be like, yes, this is it. This is what we're aiming for. And so I wanted to take a moment to share the words behind I See a Movement and really like what we see. And hopefully you'll be able to see it too. I see a movement. I see a group of believers so passionate, so committed, seeking so fully Christ above all things, choosing death before sin, no matter the cost, committed to radical holiness. Their very presence is a contradiction to the world. They bring the joy and the light of the gospel to the world. And the darker the world gets, the brighter their light shines. Greater opposition only brings greater grace. Their devotion, their holiness is so deep that it shows on their face. Others are drawn to them, drawn into the kingdom. They bring comfort to the hurting and healing to the sick of mind, body, and spirit. Their very presence is filled with such grace that it feels like a safe haven for others. They live every moment of their lives mindful to offer up every suffering as a sacrifice for souls. They embrace every moment of the day as the prayer that it is. They offer up every work. They are filled with joy that others long for, and the more the world opposes them, the more joyful, the more committed, the more aware of God's grace they become. They live for one thing and one thing only, proclaiming His name in word, in thought, and in deed. This is the vision of I See a Movement. You'll find elements of that actually on the About page, in every description of the tabs along the top, because this is at the heart. This is why we are doing this, because there is a movement happening in the church. There are so many people who want something that the world cannot offer, and that something is God. They want to live a life for God, and not just a life of radical holiness, just to keep to themselves and to grow in radical holiness, although that is a desire. There's a movement of people who are like, I'm ready to go, right? God's doing something in me, and I want to take this out to the world. But maybe you're sitting there and you're like, yes, this is me. But how do I do that? I want to encompass the things of this vision. I want to live radical holiness. I want to be a light in the midst of a dark world. But how do I do it? What's my place in this mission? And maybe you struggle with that. That's where I See a Movement can come in, if you'll let us. We are here to help you figure out, what is God calling you to? What has He gifted you to do? And then to encourage you in that ministry and to give you resources and tips to go out and to do that ministry well. So a lot of our content has this at the heart of it, but some of it is going to be more focused on the individual, that call to radical holiness. Some of it will be more focused on parish life. And if you are actively working in ministry and parish life, like here are tips, here are resources. Some of the content is going to be for those who are on mission. So you're doing the work, but in not as formal of a setting. You just want to share Christ. And some of it is for those who are actively discipling in some way, like you're walking alongside someone, whether it's in a small group, whether you go out and meet for coffee, but you want to transform those to truly bring people closer to Christ. You want to transform that ministry. This resource is not just for those who are working actively in ministry, it is for everyone. If you have a child who has fallen away from the faith and you want them to grow more in their faith, this could be a resource for them. If you have catechists who they need help with lesson planning or bringing Christ into their classroom, this is a great resource for them. If you just want to help grow in holiness, like you just want somebody to walk alongside you as you're like, is anybody else out there feeling this pull from God to be different from the world? This is a great resource for you. But let's be honest, a blog is not going to renew the church. A video is not going to renew the church. So what's going to renew the church? You are. You are going to renew the church. And maybe the immediate reaction is, how? How am I supposed to renew the church? I'm just one person. There was a time in my life where I thought the same thing. I was really struggling with, is anything I'm doing bearing fruit? And it was a very selfish, very prideful struggle that I was having. Is anything I'm doing even worth it? And I remember going and sitting before Christ, and I was just bearing my heart, and I just told him, I feel really small. I feel so small. I just want to set the world on fire. Fire for Christ, right? I feel so small. I just want to set the world on fire. And I remember what he said just transformed everything. And he said, even the wildest of fires begin as just a small ember. And my prayer immediately changed from coming to him like, God, I feel so small, to Lord, let me be small. You may not know what you have to give yet, because you do have something to give. And you may feel like this is too big. The renewal of the church is too big. I'm just one person. But a movement doesn't have to be big or have millions of people, right? This is like the heart of St. Therese. Do small things with big love. If we do small things with big love, focused on He who is love, it has a big effect. It becomes a big movement. Right? If you do something so small as just praying with your kids, if you've never done that before, that creates a big movement in your home. A movement does not have to be a ton of people. It just has to be enough of the right people. And that's you. And we are here to walk alongside you in this mission and in this journey. Yes, that comes through blogs, that comes through videos, it comes through different resources. But it also, our hope, is that it comes through community and friendship. And so we would just ask that please reach out to us here on ICU Movement. Reach out to us individually. We would love that. Or comment on the posts if you have questions or if you have comments to add, and we comment back. Or if you want, you can send recommendations of like, this is what's going on at my parish, and this is something that I'm actually very curious about. Can you do a post about this? Can you do a video about this? We would absolutely love that. And please share this with other people. If you are enlivened by this, you're like, yes, let's get out, let's go. This is a movement, and you think others could be too. Please share this. Share any of our content, including this video. This effort was created with a heart to serve you. Like that's putting it as simply as we can. It was created with a heart to serve you so that you could go out and, in the words of Jesus to St. Francis, go and rebuild the church. You are the movement. So if you would like to see the genesis or the creation of ICU Movement, check out our podcast. It's ICU Movement. It's here hosted on our site. but also it's on any podcast platform. And it really dives into the vision and the creation of it, but also the hope that we see in you and in so many other people for the future of the church. If you are interested in seeing more exclusive content, we do a free post every week and we do paid post every week. And the paid post, obviously, because you're paying for it, it adds more value, hopefully, to your ministry and to your life, whether that's through downloadable resources, whether that's through tips, whether it's, teaching videos that you can use, different things like that. Or if you're like, hey, I'm not here for the content, I just really want to support you guys, and maybe this helped to shine a light more on where it all started, and you want to support the vision, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. It's only $5 a month, which hopefully is less than a morning coffee for you. God can really work in the small, even $5, and it goes a long way. But I think that's really a lesson for all of us. God works in the small. So maybe our prayer can become, Lord, let us be small. But in being small, help us light big fires. And that fire is the fire of God's love going out to your family, going out to your specific ministry, going out to your parishioners, going out to those kids who you see in religious education every week, going out to just your friends, and going out to every single corner of the world, because this is a movement. Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for following us, and thank you for subscribing.